and then she's lying in bed, but there's a clown statue in the corner, and she's like, oh, it's really this fucking clown statue's looking at me. It's really creepy. And she calls up the parents, and she's like, hey, would it be okay if I like put a blanket over the clown statue? It's really creeping me out. And like, I just put the kids to bed, and the clown statue's creeping me out. And they go like, we don't have any kids. Take our clown statue and get out of the house.
Joining us here on this very legit podcast / stream where we go through the week's classifieds. We're writing one-shot adventures.
Yes.
This week is Haunted House.
And what we've decided is that you are going to take your adventuring party and you're going to Muppets babies them.
Yeah.
So if it's a new party, they can build. What I like, Dave, I was thinking is, if it's a brand new party, you get them to build a whole thing. Maybe you said this at the top.
Yeah.
You get them to build adults and then you just babyfy them.
But also it's fun. I hadn't realised what you're saying, which is that if they've been playing for a few adventures now, you can just jump back in time and make them kids, which is also great.
And you can incorporate all sorts of shit that you already know about the characters there too. They're going to be playing like 12-year-olds who we start our adventure in the town that they grew up in, where there's this house that has all these kind of like legends about it, and kids are always daring each other to go in and nobody ever does. They're in a graveyard trying to do spooky stuff. They're talking about the house. The GM says, of course, you all know the mystery, the legend of this house of Old Man McGillicuddy or whatever. He sounds like this. He looks like this. This is how he takes his victims. Blah, blah, blah. You give them prompts and each of them fill them in as if it's like a kind of a fun kind of like Dice of Inspiration game.
This would be a lovely moment for specificity, I think. They're going to create everything about the character, but let's give the monster of the house a really evocative scary name. So like Mr. Scissors or like Mr. Scissors.
No, I think
not Mr. Scissors.
No, Dave, no bad ideas. I love Mr.
What about Dennis Scissors?
Let's all go around the room and everybody come up with an evocative name for the monster. Let's beat Mr. Scissors.
Let's all say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Mr. Scissors.
Excuse me?
The juice.
Oh, that's not what I heard.
So this is
I didn't realise that's what we were doing.
This is the house that used to belong to Professor Scissors.
Professor Scissors.
Professor Scissors. It's like Bob Lobo.
Professor Scissors.
Sissimal Scissors.
Professor Scissors.
Professor Sisyphus Scissors and his wife Sybil, and their Sibian.
But do you know, like the Pillow Man, like the
Mr. Scissors, we got it.
What's the Pillow Man? What's the Pillow Man?
No, it's just the Pillow Man is kind of
a Martin McDonagh play?
A Martin McDonagh play, but it's like scary stories for kids.
It's like Boo Radley kind of like.
Yeah.
Oh. Right.
But yeah, he as all our players know, he owned the house 100 years ago. And was an outcast in the town. Everybody would say, "Oh, here comes Mr. Scissors." Oh, fuck!
If he tries to sell you any scissors, just say you've got some.
Keep your paper away from this guy. Anyone got a rock for Mr. Scissors? Let's say. Yeah, well, he was a real shit. But lots of people went missing around 100 years ago, and eventually
little scraps of them here and there blown in the wind.
Yeah, they'd find a finger. They'd find a
hole inside of a pocket of pants.
Yep.
But with like jacks
and more disturbingly, they'd find
crayons.
Yep. And one day, all the townspeople went, "That's it. We've had it with this fucking guy. Let's go get him."
What's the most horrible way we can kill Professor Scissors?
It was with a big rock.
Yeah, they just dropped a rock on him.
Yeah, they went to his house, and he said to them, "If you fucking do that, I swear to Christ, I will haunt your tits right off." You hear me? But they did it anyway. They did it. Norm Scissors. Oh, there's Norm on the... Hello, Norm.
Oh, did you see me wiggling, Ben?
Timmy's bought a cat,
Did you see
and
me
Mo
wiggle the boys?
has talked until presumably the chat has given Mo a timeout.
And he said, heed my warning, if you fucking do that, and they did.
Yep.
And ever since then, the House of Mr. Scissors has laid dormant.
Is it too on the nose? Do you really? We got a rock and we've got scissors. Then we actually need a victim. That's little Jackie Paper or whatever. Like
The son of the newspaper man. The son
The
of like
I was
The
going to say,
paper
yeah, the
boy.
newspaper
Oh, the
guy.
paper boy.
Yeah, after the
paper
paper
boy.
boy went missing,
Yeah.
they went, this reeks of scissors. This fucking reeks of scissors. And so they go. That was 100 years ago, and now nobody lives in the house. People dare each other to go into the house.
And we don't. And the it's actually what's great about this is the adventure will never say what Mr. Scissors looks like, what Mr. Scissors sounds like, what he does when he gets to his victims, because that's enough evocation.
Snip, snip, bitches.
Well, exactly. Like now it's up to the players to actually.
Yeah, so they
flesh it
fill
out.
in the 4, or however many players. The adventure has prompts that in the written thing you know how to do. Then bullies come along, probably aided by
I think we can predict what Mr. Scissors does to his victims and their penises. Grow up, Mo.
grow up.
Haunt them.
Yeah,
Didn't you hear the story?
just like the story from before. Yeah, that's not bad. Lawson Lion.
Oh, that's a great final game. And you make one of the players, if they die, instead of death saves, every time it's them, they do paper, scissors, rock to survive the death save.
Do you remember the game that came with the Sega Mega Drive, I believe, which was Alex the Kid?
Alex Kidd in
Sega
Miracle
Master
World?
System 2.
Sega Maga System 2, which was...
Sega Maga System?
Sega Maga System?
Yeah, it's the Trump one. In Alex the Kid, which had a theme that went doo 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 doo. When you got to the boss at the end of every level, you just played rock paper scissors with him because clearly the designers had been like, oh, and then something goes there. Like there was no combat.
I mean, not this.
Not
but
this, something like this.
Ship it.
So you do all that, then they take items that are special to each of the players, hoik them into the 3rd story of the Mr. Scissors mansion, and say, go get him. If that combat that they do with the bullies, because we want to give people agency, or at least the illusion thereof, actually goes freakishly well, they will kill one of the bullies and flee into the house.
And if it goes really badly, one of the bullies will handcuff one of the kids to the other kid, because that's kind of a fun,
There'll be a big disadvantage.
weird restriction.
Wait, we're having them kill another child?
They
What's that?
kill a child. It's a bully. Bullies aren't children. Not really.
No.
Okay,
Bullies
they
are actually
different,
just
they're kind of
small
different.
adults. If you
I think there would be a good, just about the classes thing before. I think there's probably a good way to line up the different, classes of in D&D with this weird 80s, stereotype thing, bards are
Oh, yeah.
fucking,
Drama
the,
kids?
the kid who's just always, yeah, probably the drama kid. I was gonna say the weird kid that always has his fucking Walkman on or whatever.
Sure.
bards are really into Bo Burnham.
I do think, by the way, that if we were to write this up, we would probably go with something less evocative than Mr. Scissors, because I feel like all your prompts are probably going to end up similar.
Wait, I think it's like Mr. Snuggles. If you want it to be something,
Yeah, but something that doesn't suggest weapons straight away, because it's not replayable and it's going to guide them. So, but anyway, for now it's Mr. Scissors. We've made our.
Let's just call it Mr. Jenkins.
No, I don't like that.
Ben Jenkins.
Why don't we call
Okay.
It, why don't we call it
Benjamin
Ben Jenkins?
How about Richard Jenkins?
Why don't we call it Naked Benjamin Jenkins?
yeah, naked, angry, confused Benjamin Jenkins.
These
What about the nude man?
Naked,
These are all great suggestions, but we
Oh!
have gone with Mr. Scissors.
Naked, angry, confused man.
naked,
Benjamin
angry,
Jenkins.
confused, pissing Benjamin
Pissing,
Jenkins.
actively pissing,
What?
holding a pair of scissors.
I'll allow it. So they get into the house. They run into the house. What's our first encounter? Now let's just talk about what we've decided about this house, because I quite like it. based on some stuff in the comments, chiefly from Grug actually, the idea that this is a special kind of haunted house in that it is slightly psychic, and
I've heard them talking about this person, and
well, actually, it doesn't even need to have heard them because the kids are carrying it in with them.
Oh, right.
You
So,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's this is hardly groundbreaking. Sorry, Grug.
yeah, fuck you.
You fucking hack, you unemployed hack. But the idea that this feeds on fear and specific fears.
Fucking Dragon Prince, a Twitch stream that if you hang out in the chat long enough, we will just start to verbal you.
Yeah, so like a lot of the encounters, or at least one of the encounters, I think, before we get to Mr. Scissors, is going to be enough that the players can work out, oh, this is like based on our imaginations. It's real, the danger is real, but what it's throwing at us is based on what we're frightened
So
of.
what if they think they're attacked by the bullies, but then the bullies go all eldritch? Because that's also
that's
what
fun.
they're scared of.
So I reckon actually that's one of the first encounters. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So they get into the first floor of the house. I want to give them something fun and cool before their attack. So let's say the bullies is encounter number 3.
Yeah.
And because we've just come off combat. They're in the house. There was a nice touch in Lovecraft Country, which reminded me of a lot of stories like this, where they go into a house. It's not like a haunted house. It's like a mansion that they're in, and there's a real eeriness because all their rooms are like perfect for them. Like the house has been very accommodating.
Like the Simpsons episode where they go up and the aliens have cooked all their favourite meals.
Yeah, I mean, or the Pierce Brosnan house that
pissing
tries.
off yet?
I don't know yet. I don't honestly don't know.
Well, I'll keep checking in.
Yeah, keep checking in. But
What about something specific to like the loved one they were trying to connect to? So it's
That's
so
even
like-
better.
so
The
it's
seance target, which is
Yeah,
also
so it's
they
like-
carried in with them.
It's like grandpa's dressing gown flapping in a closet.
no, I like that. I think that's good. I think we can incorporate that. I guess what I mean is I want them to go into this like Hanna-Barbera fucking haunted house exterior, and the first thing they see is quite nice.
Oh, right.
You know
But
what I
that's
mean?
the thing, what if it's the target of like I miss my granddad, which is why we did the seance, and this granddad's there to warn them and tell them a bit about the house, but then goes bad and weird because it's the house.
Or what if it's like freshly baked cookies and they're
Yeah.
like, that's weird, and one kid is like, well, these are good, and eat them. They was like, don't eat it, and it's like, it's great. Like, this is, you know what? Actually, this tastes like. I haven't had one of these since my grandma died.
Yeah, that's fun. It's a lot of work for the GM to like
Oh, yeah.
incorporate all this stuff on the fly. But I think that like if we don't make those things load bearing and just like little details, that can be good.
But freshly baked treats, I think, is like it's
Yeah,
like
for
a nice-
little kids stuff, I think is quite easy to do in a generic way. I think I agree that would work. I also think that perhaps it might be really fun to find in encounter 1 some kind of weapon or item that you'll take with you. So in encounter 2 that you will take with you to encounter 4, which is sort of enough time to sort of have the Chekhov's gun sit there. So like the antique crossbow or
proton
Yeah.
pack.
sorry,
A proton pack.
the proton pack. Yeah. Something like that.
Sorry, just Bees has said, going to repeat this, the house is threatening the bully to provide them with victims. If the kids figure that out, they have the option to team up with the bully to break the house's hold. I like that.
That's nice, but
Yeah, like bring me, like that's why he does it. Because that's like, again, it gives us like a little bit of more complexity than just bullies are homicidal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I always like that thing of the guy you think is the bad guy is in the thrall of...
yeah, and this could again be the big brother of one of the other characters.
Yeah. So what's something like Simon? I like the idea of food. I think that like if they come to like and it's like well lit and it's beautiful and there's like a whatever like based on the characters, there's like stuff that they do.
Birthday cake with a candle lit, like ready to go.
Yeah. Like there's a meal prepared for them. I think that's cool also because it's very like, do you eat the food? Do you not eat the food? What happens if you eat the
that's
food?
literally the Strahd story sort of starts that way. With
Yeah.
the banquet, which is fun. And with, as you say, like kids' food is what's interesting about it because it's a grown-up adult's house, but the treats are kid treats.
Yeah.
Which is
Fairy
already
bread.
fairy bread,
Oh yeah.
Sega Mega Drive games.
Yeah.
gun.
It's not, you can't really eat those, but that's fine.
There's things kids would want. And But does this go bad?
Well, I mean, like Grug makes the, again, slightly derivative suggestion that...
That is what happens in Stride. Once you eat the food, it turns rotten. He goes, it's the show.
But I like
room 101.
I like Grug's twist on that, which is that one specific person is fine.
Oh, that's, yeah, okay.
And they're just gobbling it up.
That suggests that one person the house is attuned to, which might be interesting. So maybe there's a thing which is the house doesn't have this purpose. The house doesn't just psychically attune to everyone that walks into it, but one person in a group, and so it's the youngest one.
Yeah, I think that's actually an easy thing for the GM too, which is like in our notes. It's like you pick a player, you can roll for it if you want, or you can just use your instincts to who's going to be the best for this. And this is the person that the house is reflecting.
Yeah, and it's their big sibling and all of those kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's good. So first encounter, it's a banquet.
So this will identify slightly who the special kid is.
Yeah, I think that's good. So that's totally up to the GM. They decide who the house is attuned with. What is the house like a creature?
It could be. Yeah. I think the house is in a kind of higher dimensional way. It's the mouth of a creature.
Yeah, I think it's exactly. It's a dimensional mouth of an interdimensional being beyond the ken of man.
We can't recognize the dimensions it operates in.
I hate when shit's beyond the ken of me.
Really?
You know what I mean? You know, you're like, oh, this is about my ken.
I don't want to get to a point.
Isn't a thing, like a being. Are the things inside it like the way when a germ comes in, it sends white blood cells to kind of like have a kind of like a biological analogy.
Yeah.
But like,
Oh, yeah, and maybe like this is like deciding, because like back in old Mr. Scissors day, who was blameless by the way, he was just a kook. And you know what I mean? He's a kook guy who loves his scissors.
So he didn't kill the paperboy.
No, but what I think it was it's the exact same situation with the bully. It's like this house only needs to eat every now and again because it like totally devours somebody's like essence.
Yeah.
And it just takes somebody and puts them in their thrall. And then it's like, bring me somebody, you cunt. That's what it says to them.
Does it say that to them?
I don't wanna. But then Mr. Scissors brought him the victims in the same way. Maybe the bully was there smoking bongs or something. You know what I mean? Something blameless like a smoking. He just wanted a place to smoke a bong by himself, which is
sad.
Yeah. And
His grandfather's
so he'd been
bong.
breaking into that house in secret to do that. And then he got into the thrall of it, and the guy, the house.
And it was so far past his ken, because he's just a little bully.
And he's stoned out of his
He's
gourd.
got no ken at all.
That he was like, oh shit, I got to do this because otherwise this house will do something horrible to me.
Yeah.
It's probably like it's either you or it's a Billy Goat's Gruff thing, right? It's like it's either you or so he does that thing. So the house has like specific needs, I guess, for like surviving.
Yep.
And like one of the kids, like you say, like it sends out feelers and like finds out like who's going to be the snack.
Yeah.
And one of the kids is going to be that.
Yes.
All right.
And that's to do with some kind of unresolved trauma that they have that makes them tasty.
Yeah.
Bit Stranger Things, but kind of...
I think Grug does a physically eat them or does a fit of a specific kind of completion of a ritual, finishing the room. Yeah, I don't think it's like just gobbles them up. I think it needs to like feed on their brains for a while and then like obliterate them from all timelines or something.
or does it have to be in there to like?
If it obliterates the real timelines, it's going to be going into the town for ages.
Yeah, I think it's been. Sorry.
I was going to say like that biological, like it has to be in there to do certain things to maintain it, like a snail eating the algae off a fish tank, kind of like. It's got to be in there and tend to the insides, make the bed each day, like.
Are you saying there's lots of tiny children around this house?
Well, no, the last one has died, and so but someone has to be in there to like eat the barnacles off the bottom.
So
like,
Mr. Scissors was just one of a line of these people.
Yeah, and he was captured.
Yeah, that's great.
50 years before that, and 50 years before that, and 50 years before that.
And that's about how long. Yeah, they only lived because it sucks. Because it's like it's bad for their life. Life expectancy to be in the house all the time doing this stuff.
Maybe it's like 20 years. It's like it goes through a Renfield every 20 years.
Exactly, but they're Renfields. They're not food. They actually maintain the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Sorry, Demi. Yes.
I did. I just didn't want to interrupt. I was having trouble trying to get into the conversation. Sorry. So I was just. This is flavor. Maybe it's too early to talk about this type of thing, but just because it's like a haunted house type thing and sort of verging on some kind of horror trope type thing. I was just wondering whether, and this can be decided later or whatever, but have you ever seen the movie Jeepers Creepers?
Hocus Pocus?
Jeepers Creepers.
Megorium Emporium? Is that what I'm...
Mr. Megorium's Jeeper of Creepers.
Funko Pops?
No,
but
it's
what's
just,
the,
no.
What's the plot? Is that a John Carpenter?
I don't think so, because it was like, it's not very good. The first
Okay.
one,
Isn't it like weirdly
really...
Canadian?
Sorry?
Is it weirdly Canadian?
Oh, maybe. You
Anyway.
might be right. But I was just going to say, Jeepers Creepers, the first one was very scary, and one of the main reasons to me was, so it's not a scary monster. It's this stupid thing where when you see the monster, you're like, it's a bat. It's a bat. But the reason it's so scary is because for some reason the song Jeepers Creepers plays
Where'd
on
you get
the
them
radio.
peepers?
Where'd you get those peepers? Plays very like crackly over the radio or any kind of electric thing that you have near you, and it's like weirdly subtle when the monster's coming after you. And I was just gonna say that it would be really nice to have some kind of environmental way of sort of relaying to the players that they're about to be like psychically or physically attacked in that way.
Well, I think that's
Like-
a perfect example of something that the DM can do by saying like, and Mr. Scissors, there was always music playing when he had this music box. What type of music was it?
Yeah,
I think-
exactly. But it could be like, it could literally be like, I don't know, fucking like there are paintings around the house or whatever, and maybe Mr. Scissors had an unusually like unnerving and very and very intense smile, and the paintings weren't smiling before, but you look over your friend's shoulder and the smile on the painting is fucking massive and open. Like, wouldn't that be, that's like scary.
I like
that's
that.
great, Demi.
I think that's a really good, like, it's like so much of this has to be creep.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah.
So it's been scrolled past, so I actually don't know who said it. But
That was better.
I mean, the film was directed by a bona fide pedophile, but that
I
wasn't.
didn't say that I loved their politics.
But somebody had the idea, which I really like. Yes, it was Crunk. That the deeper they go into the house, the more like the innards of a beast it becomes.
Oh, like in
More fleshy.
More flesh.
Pathologic. That's great.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
think,
but like first it becomes like spongy, right? Like
And then the
it's
house
not,
becomes
it's not immediately
meat.
turning
Yeah,
to flesh.
the
It's
more-
like
the more-
you lean against a wall and it has give or something, and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's
and
like
you're
we-
like, oh, it must.
Yeah.
Because it is a creature. It's like a giant whale, and as they get
Oh, baleen.
the workers towards the inside become more and more like sort of remoras.
Yeah, I like this. I think that's really good. So what we've decided is the first encounter is the bully throwing, poking the thing into the thing. The second is Demi all right?
Sorry. I it was a full body cough. I couldn't press the cough button. I'm very sorry.
I think. Oh, poor Demi.
I'm okay.
When
It's just a sore throat. I'm fine.
Whenever I see somebody coughing on like a Zoom call or a Twitch stream or whatever, I always feel like I'm in like the pre-credit sequence to a bad zombie movie.
I haven't been bitten.
So the second encounter is something positive. I think it's like this house, it confounds the expectations. This house is not just run down and like falling apart. It's like on the inside it's warm, it's well lit. And this is about the house trying to work out which of the kids it's going to Renfield, right? Mm-hmm. I like Grug's idea that everybody like there's like a party spread there. There's like, depending on when you're setting this and who your characters are, there's stuff that they fucking love. This is like the perfect hangout house, and oh my god, the bully's gonna look so stupid when he realizes that we just get to hang out in this cool place.
But aren't they gonna? As kids have got some kind of survival, like this is a creepy thing to be full of stuff they like, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, I agree, and the players can be like, "Don't fucking eat that. That's ridiculous."
But I guess what I'm trying to say is there a still warm sponge cake that was cooked 5 minutes ago, or is it the tins of candied eels?
Yeah, I wonder if you want like plausible spook deniability, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Have they just found something that you could find legitimately in an abandoned house?
Yeah,
It's like these Mars bars look like the packaging from the 80s. Like
There's a crate of old candies.
Yeah. Maybe that's better rather
sodas
than
that have like pull tabs and like.
Yeah, maybe like rather than it being like okay, there's nothing nothing but spooks that could have done this.
But it's like, no one will ever come here, but now we know this is going to be our clubhouse. Speak for the rest of the summer.
Yeah. So that encounter is just like fucking around, and it's like fun for the GM to like give them heaps of stuff to play with, and
they
like
find some weapons and cool shit.
and maybe like to slowly escalate it to absurdity to the point where the players go, wait a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Because it becomes so specific.
Yeah.
That's what you kind of has to be.
And is it literally like is the stuff just in my brain? I'm going all over the place, but the stuff that they find. Is it physically there, and is it like it's been created for them by the house, or is it a trick?
I think
Like, is it a trick of the mind that they think they're enjoying their favorite thing, but it's like like in that fucking movie Ghost Ship, they think they've found a perfectly tinned beans and they're eating maggots. And
I don't
shit,
think
and
it's
then they
like
realize.
I don't think it's real. Like I don't think it has like a printer that can do it, but I also don't think it's like
DoorDash.
like transparent. Like I think that the end of this encounter is the thing.
The house has a milk run.
I think that like the house has a limited magic in that it can make nice stuff, but
It's the Internet of Things. It can just like connect.
but it can only make nice stuff out of bad stuff in the classic kind of evil thing. And yeah, so eventually the Mars bars are going to be poo or whatever.
Oh no!
So they find all of this stuff. Then somebody said something which is interesting, which is that one thing that might get them out of this encounter and start doing things really weird is them seeing somebody moving in the distance, like, or I think someone said a maid, but like a light moving by a doorway or something.
I tell you what, I think what snaps them out of this encounter is the bullies, but it's not the bullies.
Okay, it's the Eldritch bullies.
It's the Eldritch bullies, and they're coming from a direction that doesn't make any sense.
Through the ground, up.
No, I mean like they're coming from the stairs.
Yeah.
Like they're not coming from the front door. They're not trying to get in.
Oh, of course they're going to try and get to the second floor because they're going to get the stuff.
Exactly. So like, I think that if they don't move on from the ground floor and go, oh, we better go get our stuff,
then the bullies
come down the stairs, and like, hopefully players are like, how the fuck did they do that?
But also like what's nice about this is the room full of things should have a bunch of like lethal cool scout toys, right? Like a harpoon gun or like things that you can use to kill someone. The bullies come down and this time they are fighting violently and to kill, and one of them will eventually get whacked by one of these weapons that the kids have gotten as a toy, as a cool toys.
Yeah.
And they're like, they die in a weird body horror way, like their flesh is plasticine or ribbons.
Oh, I love
Or they get consumed.
And I think the GM can be kind of playful in how they play the bullies, like slightly off, slightly wrong. What was that, Dem?
Oh, no, I was just saying I loved what Dave said about the flesh being plasticine, but I just did have one idea to maybe make it simpler with the room full of things. Like, instead of it being food in that kind of way, what if it is, like, objects that speak very strongly to these kids, but it makes sense for it to be there. Like, it's a really, like, one of the kids is a fucking music guy, and there's like an
cool
insane
saxophone.
antique, like, fucking saxophone, or like an insanely cool electric guitar, and like there's a kid who's a massive nerd for a specific writer, and it's like there's these antique books by them, they're adventure novels.
I think that's right.
If it's in the 80s and one of the kids is a hacker, there's like a 56k.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that the GM collects at the top when they're building their players and makes note of. I think that Gordian Knott's idea that when they're fighting the bullies, if there's a wound, it opens up and there's teeth around the edge is like a fun thing. And I also like Mo's. I think it was Mo's idea that the Eldritch bullies are basically, once they're defeated, they are. Their flesh is subsumed back into the house.
So you get the sense already that the house is organic.
The Baleen comes down and sweeps them back up.
Baleen comes down and sweeps them away.
That's actually Krog has a nice idea, which is that when the house plays humans, it doesn't have enough experience of humans to know how they do certain things, which is why that's an explanation. For instance, like if you fire for instance, a harpoon gun into a bully, and it's just skin color plasticine all the way through. It's because the house doesn't know what's meant to be inside.
And all the people the house are playing is always saying stuff like, "God, I hate it when my doors are squeaky." Don't you hate it?
Yeah, some termites appear and all the bullies run away.
Yeah, I love that, Grug. That's
Or they learn stuff from Mr. Scissors. Mr. Scissors has been in the house. It's bits of his personality that are like.
Yeah, I think every
Okay.
Renfield has like taught the house a bit more. I think a couple of people in the chat have had the idea that the items that Demi was talking about, maybe if we don't want to make them that the house just 3D prints them or makes them out of maggots or whatever, possibly they belonged to they belong to previous Renfields.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're so hyper specific that like.
I think it sends Renfields out sometimes at night to raid toy stores because it knows it will die if it can't keep luring in kids. It collects toys and candies, but that's why it's old stuff and tins of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of thinking that it was almost maybe a little bit more fateful. Like the stuff is there from a very long time ago, but it is really cool to these kids. The only reason I say that is because I was like, oh, the less like actual magic, like this house knows how to 3D print, like kind of the creepier it's going to be because the things have been waiting there for them.
And it's got like treasure trove in its belly, like, of like different kids stuff.
And it's a higher
dimension.
dimensional. It's a higher dimensional thing. We don't understand it. It's beyond the ken of Ben.
Oh my
so it's just basically it disgorges. A kid walks through the door that's anointed, and the house coughs up all the things that kid loves.
Yeah, do you think that in the second encounter before the bullies come down the stairs, that all...
Oh, sorry, I really enjoyed Beyond the Ken of Ben. I said it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's not about a podcast name. Just where hey, welcome to you listening to Beyond the Ken of Ben, where I get baffled by something for 45 minutes. Where somebody who's an expert in their field patiently tries to explain a fairly fundamental and simple concept to me before storming out in frustration.
You gave me 45 minutes to explain string theory.
I wonder if we want to make it really specific, and then we'll move on to the third encounter because we kind of already know what the fourth encounter is, guys. I think we're going to make it. Which is, I think that it's not just for all the kids. It's like you pick a player, and the first floor before the bullies come is just that kid's fucking dream. It's not like there's something for Johnny and Timmy and blah, blah, blah. It's like the house has picked this kid.
And it's not. Is this the anointed kid or a different kid?
The anointed kid.
Well, because that's the stuff that they've got in the house already that would apply to like there's a kind of a... Because maybe sometimes they don't always get a kid, but they've got a certain amount of stuff, as Demi has said.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I kind of disagree. I kind of disagree with the idea that like we don't want the idea of it just magicking shit up. I think it's creepy and fun if the first floor, the moment the kids walk in there, it's like a little bit gloomy and then the lights come on or they turn a torch on or whatever. And in that time, the house has done two things. The house has gone, that's the one I want, and this is all the shit that the kid likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And it can have a bit mix of both things. See, another thing which you could do potentially of this is maybe would give the game away to the players, but I'll just say it, is it would be like, okay, we're going to play one shot on Saturday. And you guys send me your characters, you're all level 1, and send me a recurring nightmare that your character has.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
And that's because
lovely.
what would be interesting is that you all think up a nightmare and then things start happening and then one of the players goes, this isn't just random. This is my fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
gets that moment where they say that because for everyone else it's strange and weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. So they kill the bullies. Sorry, yes, Demi.
No. It's I was only going to say the only reason that I tried to make it not like a 3D printed magic thing is because I was like, if they're going to be like physical items, I was just trying to think of the creepiest way to have it play out, if you know what I mean. Because like, if it's not just an illusion and it's not the house just like fucking with their minds and making them see something, I was like, it should make sense that there's just like old shit that they like and it's already there. But I think it's like kind of a cool thing to either have it be fucking with their minds or it's just like it's fucking magic. It's just putting the shit there.
I don't mind that like, the house can basically, and I just realised that I'm about to describe a literal 3D printer, but that
I showed everyone my 3D prints when they arrived today. It's very good.
It's really been incepted into our brains.
That the house just makes the shit out of dust, basically. And if they ever return to that room...
Very slowly and at our line height of 0.2 millimeters.
And if they ever return to that room or they stay too long on the first floor, things start coming apart.
Yeah.
So, we kill the bullies.
So what were you going to say, Demi?
I was just going to say basically I was trying to marry the idea of this old house and like things that these fucking kids would really like together. So it's like I wanted it to be a basic enough item that the kids really fucking love it, but that the house would understand. That's the only reason I was getting like finicky about it.
And I kind of like the idea of meshing them both together. So the Renfields do go out. Things do go missing in the town. The box of candied oranges is a real box of candied oranges, but next to it is the cookies that the Anointed One's grandmother used to make.
Yeah.
And if you stayed in the room for a while, the candied oranges you'd eat them and you'd realize they're very old but still candied oranges, but the cookies would turn back into dust.
Yeah.
Because it's a mix of the...
Yeah.
Or as Crunk says, because that's how we're building the bullies, it's all kind of house flesh, right?
Yeah.
So it all melts back into the body of the house.
Yeah.
Let's say they've got one more encounter before they go into the top room and they have to fight for their friend.
Is this the nightmare? One of the kids' nightmares?
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be third floor is going to be... I feel like we haven't really had a chance to chat with anybody, but that might just be my preference with D&D.
We did with the bullies.
Yeah.
And we're going to with Mr. Scissors at the end, right? Maybe we will get to the end.
Well, we're not actually going to meet Mr. Scissors, are we?
Should there be?
Hold on.
I feel like.
Should the new scissors? Should scissors be dying? That's why they need to get a new scissors.
Yeah, so they didn't kill him. The townspeople didn't kill him in that.
No.
No,
He's
they locked the doors of the house. They locked him in the house.
Yeah, okay.
Well, but wouldn't the house?
They put a big rock in front of the door.
If the
But
house
there's a
lets,
window which a kid small enough for a kid to wriggle through.
if the house lets the Renfields out, what's making them come back?
Oh, they're like...
It's in their brain. They're living.
Oh,
the
it's just
house
in their
is-
brains.
The house is.
It's fine.
Like they just can't. It's one of those things. It's one of them scary things where you're walking out of the door, and then as soon as your face passes the threshold, you're walking back in.
Now, do you know? Yeah, do you know what we haven't done for this haunted house, which I know a lot of people in the chat are gagging for because it's a book that's been mentioned several times, is we haven't done any kind of House of Leaves wackadoo geometry.
Improbable geometry?
Yeah, we haven't done like this room is far too big. We haven't done like this door doesn't go where it should.
Yeah.
I think that when they get to the top of the stairs, there's going to be a corridor, there's going to be a door, and it's going to lead them to somewhere that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I think it also means that...
And also it can get quite organic. You can open a door, there's this giant eyeball behind it.
Yeah, and I think also like we want
Nice.
this adventure to basically end the fourth encounter. It ends in the belly of the house, right?
Yeah.
Like where we're now basically completely organic.
And there's like a Cronenberg Mr. Scissors with tendrils coming off him.
And he's been-
Junji Ito'd into the house.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the kid's going to go.
Yeah. And he'll be like, kill me. I know you're a kid.
Can I-
I know this is a lot to deal with.
Wait, it doesn't have to be this, but I just had a nice image in my head, like, because he's Mr. Scissors, instead of tentacles, can it be like, you know those people that you cut into the shape and then you pull out and they're all holding hands? Can it be that,
Oh,
attaching
that's
him
fun.
to the
You know,
wall, like tentacles?
It's Junji Ito, so let's really go Junji Ito, Demi, and let's say that it's if you took Mr. Scissors and you shaved slices of him off, you could unfold him like those holding hands things. And there's like a room like the White Rabbit Gallery in Sydney, but just slung between all these impossible corridors is this huge paper doll, which is thin slices of Mr. Scissors.
But the front slice of him is like right in the middle at the front.
But
when you're
hold
like
on, who
confronting
did this
him.
to Mr. Scissors?
The house.
Because he's called
did it.
Mr. Scissors?
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose.
What's
it's
the
like-
kid's going to be like, well, my last name's Johnson. What are you going to... Oh, no.
No, no,
My
no,
name, I'm
no,
Mr.
no.
Jerked Off to Death.
No. Mr. Scissors was called that because he was amazing at papercraft and he used to make wonderful, cheap folded toys.
Yeah, this is it.
fine.
The house.
So he was like
Right?
a Boo Radley, just a harmless kook.
Yeah,
Literally
harmless
just
cook.
that. And then the house is using what he was truly good at and what made him beloved by people, which was making just really fun, really cheap shit out of paper
right, love
and
it.
used it against him.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That is our last act. They go into the belly of the house.
And then you have to kill him with his own scissors because he just wants you to snip the paper doll.
Yeah, but how do we beat the house?
It
The
doesn't.
house always wins. That's the name of the adventure.
Yeah.
The name of the adventure is the house always wins. Good night. That's. We need to work out a way that they can beat the house. We need a way that the third encounter, which is the nightmare encounter, And the nightmare encounter needs to lead them into the belly of the house, and it needs to give them the information they need on how to defeat it.
Can there be different rooms? It becomes apparent, it's sort of thinly veiled, like these are the organs of the house. This is the heart. This is the stomach. This is
good.
The brain. So maybe in the brain they get visions, or the psychic connection is stronger.
Yeah.
So that if they find something that is like a lung or whatever, they can jam that up. They can poke it in the heart. They can.
That's good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I've got to pay respect to that. Yes, Max Bobo Bobo Bomb. The Ship of Time by Zhu Jinshi is the paper artwork that I'm referring to, that I think would be a great final scene of a horror film. Yes, that's correct. Well done. Google Ship of Time. Not now.
But oh yeah, that's great. Me and Mo sat there, not Mo Quirk, Mo Jenkins, and just watched that artwork for 45 minutes. It's the longest I've ever seen him sit still.
I had a really crazy thing with it where I was looking at it for a long time and that no one was explaining it to me. And this is probably why I associate it with a horror film. I didn't realize what I was looking at.
Well, Mo Jenkins certainly didn't. That would have been. So, hey guys, how about this to throw a little spanneroonie in the works? If Mr. Scissors has been absorbed by the house and he's got some connection to it, right? Because he needs to, because it's feeding off him. Can he be in his death throes trying to help and warn the children?
Well, you know what?
Like, can he be battling the house for control? Which is how
all the bullies could have, before they died, been like,
exactly.
need the scissors, get the scissors.
That's how we can have like the third encounter, especially have like.
We are going to finish this one.
I really think we are.
Quick, Demi, do something.
Have like the encounter, the battle, whatever it is, breaks apart as the house loses control, and some benevolent force enters it, and it's Mr. Scissors being like, "Get out!" or
I think Mr. Scissors is still in his horrifying.
Yeah, he's in the heart. He's in the heart of the house, but he's plugged into it.
Yeah, but so I think what actually happens is you're fighting the thing in a corridor, and then you're having the horrible nightmare, and then suddenly you hear a sort of like the sound of scissors and a sort of screaming sound, and then just like a wound opens in the corridor and it buckles and bends like flesh, and you now don't need to follow the geography of the house because he's managed to rip.
Oh, that's good. That's how the third encounter. That's how the third encounter ends. It ends with the house with a tear opening up, and what was a bit spongy opens up into something that is a bowel.
Yeah.
Full of poo,
and all the trauma.
Bricks.
But I think also like the way that the
Mr. Stitches would have been a much better name than Mr. Scissors. But let's keep going.
The way that the third encounter works is that the GM has a list of all the characters' fears, and ahead of time they have planned a combat-heavy encounter around those fears, and you just play that until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, so I put in, write about a man in a hot dog costume who can't stop pissing everywhere in the style of an episode of Scooby-Doo. So the man in the hot dog costumes couldn't stop pissing everywhere, and it was driving everyone crazy. The gang tried to figure out what was going on and eventually discovered that the man had a bladder problem once they unmasked him and found out he was a werewolf that couldn't control his urge to urinate. They helped him get treatment, and he was eventually cured.
That is the opposite of how a Scooby-Doo thing works.
I know!
It's eventually cured.
To do that, Debbie, that means that you had to create an account on Google Labs while we were doing that.
What? No, I didn't.
Okay, so I think Grug is right that Encounter 3.5 is trying to get through that tear into the bowels of the house, because the house doesn't want anybody in its bowels because it is invulnerable.
IBS.
You know what would be a really interesting thing? You really have to trust your players. But imagine like the bowel opens up and you hear the voice of Mr. Scissors. He's like, come, I need you. And
just like from that penis story from before.
Exactly. But then the house quickly swings open another door immediately after he does that, and the rip opens up, and there's like a table with all of your stuff. Like the house freaks out because he's breaking them through to the heart.
Do you know what isn't good option there?
Yeah.
The door, they're on the second floor by now.
Yeah.
There's a rip in the thing leading to guts, and then there's a door that's open, but it goes back to the street.
Yeah. The house is like, fuck this. You don't go there.
Yeah, but it's a trick.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it opens it up as if, like, because by then they've realised that there's something battling in the house.
You know what makes it weird? So you don't trust it? It's the street, and there's a sack on the middle of the street, and it's all of your things that the bully threw.
Yeah, and
that's
maybe because it's a
great.
house, and like maybe if they like do good perception rolls, they'll see that the cars are wrong, or like.
But also, like, well, why is there stuff back out in the house?
Yeah. But I think that like. If they do take that door, then you go into another combat where they get in there. It's like I don't know. We don't have time to come up with another thing, but it's like a fun thing where everything drops away and they all battle a poo monster.
Yeah, it's the shit monster.
Also, like, I don't know whether it's just speaking to me, but it's also a really fun opportunity for like the DM to come up with a slightly unsettling way for the street to look. Like, obviously, we're not coming up with it now, but just being like the wheels of the cars are like half the size that they should be, which is kind of
The
like,
people are
you
hot
know,
dogs.
I don't mind the
people
idea that everybody.
all pissing.
I don't mind. You know what? This
Yeah,
is
they go into the bathroom to stop pissing, and then they come out and they're pissing again.
Just a
Dave
misplaced-
really gets it. Dave fucking gets it, man. Dave
that's
gets
just
me.
one misplaced line of code.
You miss a comma.
I think that's good. I think also you could do something like on a good perception check, because there are people walking around outside, but you realise that none of them have faces.
And, also, we will actually. This is the bad thing. You went the wrong way. You went out into the room. Do you know the monster you fight? Easily, it's the stitched up all of the previous Renfields. That's it.
Yeah.
Work that out,
Yep.
DM.
Yep.
Let's move
Yep.
on.
Great.
Yep.
And that's so you either fight in the bowels and you win by killing Renfield and maybe piercing the heart of the house.
Yeah, with his scissors.
With his scissors.
Yep.
Yep. Which.
breaks the-
So, yeah,
Which is what he was trying to do.
Oh, and I think our Renfield kid has to pass a reasonably difficult constitution because they're in the the thrall.
Yeah, well, actually, Mr. Scissors was probably actually the one that got closest to killing the house last time, which is why it's been punished by the house.
Oh, and shit, do you know what else?
Yeah.
Every time our chosen kid takes something from the house, eats a cookie, or admires a painting of themselves, or whatever, every time it takes the house's bait,
Yeah.
that final DC check goes up. So it gets harder and harder, and then by the end, you can still win, but like...
Well, I think it's to make it. Let's make it just if we are playing D&D, you need another success rather than it goes up. And so, like the house will try and kill you on its turn, and on your turn, it'll be you have to make 3 successes on this check before the house kills you. But if you ate the food, it's 4 successes. If you took the harpoon gun, it's 5.
Yeah, I just think you want the idea that the kid is like, it's that classic thing of like, no, I want this. I want to be part of this house.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It understands me. There's not going to be any pain, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So whatever mechanic you use, I think just the choices that the kid has made, if the kid, because I think you should reward a kid being like, nah, this is crook, this is weird.
Yeah.
Let's go upstairs.
Yeah.
It should be relatively,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, guys, I think we did it.
I think we did it. I think that's
Yeah,
an
I think we
adventure.
fucking
The house,
did.
the
Somebody
house
write
always
that,
wins.
write that up for us. Just plunky plonk.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah, somebody can
bibbidi
blink
boo
block that up.
But the house always wins.
Yeah, House always wins. Mr. Scissors, the story of three. Let's do it again. 4 encounters. First encounter, graveyard,
Bully.
bullies.
Oh, we didn't
perfect,
bring back the
perfect.
bully being like, I'm so sorry, it was me or you.
We get that from
That's
Mr.
okay, we
Scissors. He's
can-
going to explain that, right? While he's all in his
Yeah,
Paper
or you
prison.
can have the option
his paper prison.
Severe kids.
We get. I think.
you can have
When
the.
did they get? Did they get this? Did they get the
What's it in?
Sibian?
Do you know what I
Yeah, but it
think?
turns to dust as soon as they mount
Try to
it.
fuck it.
Do you know what I
No, because there's one kid that comes in there that's like, I'm really into antique
Cut
Sibian.
it. No, I don't
That's
like
why
any of this.
oh,
Stop it.
You don't
Yeah,
like
get rid of
it?
your first and last idea. Done.
I think just because I like the neatness of it and I love the idea of like it's a constant cycle, I think the third encounter, at some point, the kid who sold them out, the bully, whatever,
Finds them in their little siblings' nightmare, which is a great place for 2 siblings to find each other.
he's put them in the house. He's sat by the side of the road feeling like shit, about the whole thing, and then by the time of the third encounter, he goes, fuck it, runs upstairs and tries to save them as an NPC.
Yep.
He can stay with the party till the end, he can die, or she, it's 2022.
I was just thinking, that's actually great because again, thinking that this is your normal D&D set group and you're just doing this prequel kids thing, if you, again, like session 0 and stuff, if you're players are the kind of players that would be into this, and I certainly know, like I would be, and a lot of my friends would be, if you pick the right anointed one, you might be like, fuck it, if he dies, he dies, because what a great thing to discover in a prequel adventure is that you got out, but your brother was killed by this eldritch monster you don't even understand, but you've got your whole adventuring career to find it and settle the score and maybe get your brother back.
Yeah,
that's great.
I love it.
That's really good.
So that's kind of how it goes. Guys, we did it.